The story of Mahamogalana, the master of miracles. Let me take you back to ancient India, a time when seekers walked barefoot across deserts not for riches or power but for truth. There were two young men, both born into wealthy Brahmin families. One was named Upatissa, the other Kalita. They were best friends since childhood, inseparable. They had everything: education, privilege, comfort, but deep inside they felt something was missing. One day, during a grand festival, as others danced and laughed, Upatissa whispered to Kalita, "My friend, is this all there is? Eating, laughing, dying?" Kalita replied with quiet conviction, "No, we must find the path out of suffering, the real path." So they left it all behind: their homes, their families, their futures. They became wanderers, ascetics, searching for wisdom. The encounter that changed everything. Then came the turning point. Upatissa, while walking through a village, encountered a serene monk, his eyes calm like a still lake. That monk was a disciple of a new teacher, someone called the Buddha. The monk spoke just a few lines about impermanence. But those words hit Upatissa like thunder. He ran to find Kalita. "I found it! The path we were searching for." They both went to meet the Buddha, and in the presence of the Enlightened One, they bowed. With open hearts and clear minds, they listened. Within days, Kalita, now ordained as Moggallana, attained the highest state of liberation, arahantship, and with it he awakened to a power rarely seen in this world. The Master of Miracles. Moggallana became known as the foremost in supernatural abilities, the Master of Miracles. He could walk through walls, fly through the sky, hear voices from other realms, see the karma of countless lifetimes, but he never used these powers to impress. Instead, he used them to teach, to awaken others, to shake them from illusion. One of the most haunting stories was when Moggallana visited the realm of hungry ghosts, a terrifying place filled with beings suffering from greed and hatred. There he saw his own mother, tormented and starving from the weight of her past deeds. Even with all his powers, he could not lift her suffering alone. So he returned, asked the Buddha for guidance, and with the combined merit of the monastic community, his mother was released. This became the origin of what we now know in Asia as the Ulambana Festival, the day of gratitude for one's ancestors. A friendship that shaped a Sangha. The story of Mahamoggallana cannot be told without telling the story of Sariputta, his dearest friend, his spiritual twin. They had known each other long before they ever heard the name Buddha. As children, they played in the same gardens. As young men, they questioned the same teachings. And as seekers, they made a vow: whoever finds the true path first must return for the other. It was not just a promise between friends. It was a soul-deep commitment. One would not walk the path of liberation alone. When Sarip first met a disciple of the Buddha and heard the Dhamma, he was struck to the core. It was as if his heart had finally heard its name spoken. But he didn't rush forward for his own awakening. He searched for Kalita, Moggallana, and said, "I have found the teacher. Let us go together." And so, side by side, they walked into the Sangha. Together, they bowed before the Buddha. Together, they entered the holy life, and soon, both realized nirvana. Within the Sangha, their bond continued, not just as friends, but as pillars of the community. Sariputta, the master of wisdom, taught with clarity, dissecting the Dhamma with precision. He could explain the subtlest truths with the gentleness of a river's flow. Moggallana, the master of energy and power, brought strength to the Sangha. With his supernatural abilities, he protected the community from harm, both seen and unseen. When disputes arose, they settled them with care. When monks lost their way, they brought them back with compassion. They were trusted, revered, and loved. The Buddha once said, "If a person were to travel the world seeking true companions in the holy life, they would find none greater than Sariputta and Moggallana." They balanced each other perfectly. Wisdom and compassion, stillness and action, depth and reach brought calm to the sinner. There's a story that once Moggallana sensed a great disturbance in the realm of spirits. Restless ghosts were causing suffering in a nearby village. He soared through the air with his divine eye and brought calm to the chaos. When he returned, Sariputta was already waiting with a teaching on karma and rebirth, ready to help the villagers understand what had just happened. Two masters, one path, one sangha, held firm by their unwavering bond. Swordlands. Even their final days mirrored each other. Sariputta passed away peacefully, lying in the home of his mother, having gently guided her toward the Dhamma. Just days later, Moggallana, knowing his end was near, met death with silent courage in the forest, completing his karmic journey with grace. Though they were gone, their presence remained, like the roots of a great tree that no storm could shake. To this day, their friendship stands as one of the most beautiful examples of spiritual brotherhood in all of history. A peaceful warrior's end, but even enlightened ones are not immune to the laws of karma. Moggallana had once, in a distant life, committed a terrible act. He had harmed his own parents. Though he was now free of all defilements, the seed of that karma still bore fruit. One day, a group of jealous ascetics, angry at losing followers to the Buddha, hired assassins to kill Moggallana. He foresaw it. With his powers, he could have escaped, but he didn't. Why? Because he had no fear of death, no attachment, no running from karma. So, in a quiet forest, his body was broken, but his spirit remained untouched. He passed into final nirvana, his heart at peace. His legacy. The legacy of Ma Moggallana is not made of monuments or scriptures bearing his name. It lives in silence, in the quiet moments when a person chooses kindness over anger, when someone resists the urge for revenge and instead lets go, when a seeker learns that power isn't to be worshipped, but to be transformed into compassion. Moggallana was the most powerful of the Buddha's disciples, but he never ruled, he never boasted. He used his miraculous abilities not to elevate himself, but to lift others from darkness. There's something profoundly beautiful in the way he accepted his death. He could have escaped, he could have flown away, vanished, hidden himself in another realm. But he didn't, because he knew even a fully awakened being is not above the law of cause and effect. Karma doesn't punish, it teaches. And for those who've walked the path, even suffering becomes an opportunity to complete the journey. So Moggallana let the storm come. He met it with stillness. He let the final drops of his ancient karma fall away. Without fear, without sorrow. That is not weakness, that is unimaginable strength. His story is a reminder to all of us that no one is beyond redemption. Moggallana had once committed grave wrongs in a distant past, yet he rose, step by step, to become an arahant. That great power is not in controlling the world, but in letting go of the need to control it. That true liberation is not about escaping life, but embracing it fully, with clarity, compassion, and courage. So when you feel stuck in your own past, when you fear that you've made too many mistakes, when you doubt that you could ever be free, remember Mahamoggallana. He walked through fire and shadow, but came out on the other side, free, luminous, unshaken. And if he could do it, so can you.